Well, the National Judicial Council has sanctioned 5 serving judicial officers for various acts of misconduct at its 107th meeting. The council suspended 2 judges for a period of 1 year without pay. Godwin Aguma of the High Court of Rivers State and Anthony Nwabunike of the Anambra State High Court were also placed on a watch list for 2 years. That's 2 years after. Now, 2 other heads of courts were also recommended for compulsory retirement over alleged falsification of age. They are the Chief Judge of Imo State, Justice Chukwuemeka Chikeka, and the Grand Kadi of Yobe State, Kadi Babagana Mahdi. Justice Chikeka was ordered to refund all salaries and allowances given to him from 27 October 2021. Now, the council said Mahdi should have retired from service 12 years ago and ordered him to refund all salaries and allowances received for the past 12 years. The NJC resolved to issue a letter of caution to Justice Josiah Majabi, Chief Judge, Kogi State, for assigning a sensitive matter to a junior judge. The council also recommended 36 lawyers for appointment as judges. Now let's bring in Agbo Madaki, Professor of Applied Law at Durban University of Technology, South Africa. Thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you again
yeah,
on the show.
Thank you very much, and good evening.
Well, first, let's get your thoughts on these offenses and the punitive measures that have been applied. How grievous really are these offenses? Number one, falsification of age, or age falsification if you like, you know, and the list of offenses.
Well, the decision arrived at by the National Judicial Council falls within the ambits of the law establishing and that body. And it's usually headed by the Honorable the Chief Justice of Nigeria, and then other people constituting the committee or the commission, as the case may be. If you ask me, for all judicial officers in this country, they have their code of conduct, which is called the Code of Conduct for Judicial Officers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 2016. And it's more or less like their Bible or their Quran, as the case may be.
Right.
So for a serving judicial officer to falsify his or her age, as the case may be, one, you know, usually ages are declared by way of an affidavit, and that is what I'm told the particular chief judge in question did. He swore to an affidavit altering his age. Once you depose to an affidavit and you lied under oath, it is perjury. And it's a criminal offense, and indeed you can be prosecuted. And in fact, it is the height of perjury for you to falsify your age under oath, more so coming from a judicial officer. Again, if you look at the code of conduct for judicial officers in the country, there are certain conducts that must never be ascribed to a judge. He must be above board. Right. He must be impartial. His integrity must be very, very high. There are certain companies he must not keep. He must never descend to the arena. And when there is conflict of interest, he needs to recluse himself or make that very open, as the case may be, because it is the temple of justice. After that, it is God, as the case may be. So if you ask me, the decision arrived at by the National Judicial Council was well thought of and judiciously arrived at.
Now, in the case, let's see if we can piece some of this one by one. In the case of the Mahdi, 12 years extra at the judiciary, and he's been told to refund salaries, you know, of that he's received for that number of years. Should these judges be prosecuted instead of just being told refund monies, more like, you know, go and sin no more without any serious consequences?
You know, the question that should be asked, yes, for someone that remained in office 12 years after he ought to have resigned,
yes,
how did he pull it? That is the question.
How did he pull it off?
How did he pull
yes,
it off? That is the question
absolutely,
we should be asking at this
yeah,
stage. But now that becomes mute. You know, he got away with it.
They say many days for the thief and then probably one day for the owner. So it is the day of the owner, and a Daniel has come to judgment. I recall very well when the present Chief Justice of Nigeria was sworn in. The Honorable Chief Justice made a vow not to tolerate any form of impunity or corruption on the bench, and I think my Lord, the Honorable CGN, is living up to that billing or to that vow that she made not too long ago, as the case may be. Now, why refund the money? Those were money that were not properly earned, So it's now being asked to refund, and I think the proper thing that they are going to do, they will compute his retirement benefit and probably deduct it from it, as the case may be. If you ask whether he should be prosecuted or not, now there are judicial precedent to the fact, and you know that as far as a judicial officer is concerned, when there are certain allegations that also border on criminality, but yet a violation of the code of conduct for judicial officers, that it lies within the doorstep of the National Judicial Council to first attend to such complaint and take a decision. Thereafter, the person can be prosecuted. You will recall certain cases that some serving judges were being tried by certain anti-corruption agencies, as the case may be, with prosecutorial power. And then the decision of the high courts in the respective cases is to the effect that, look, you can't prosecute them now until NJC finishes her work. Right. So I think that is exactly what is playing at. Notwithstanding the decision of the NJC, it does not serve as a bar from prosecuting.
Right. So
the judges involved.
You hope that that prosecution will happen.
You know, the truth of the matter is that the culture of impunity in Nigeria prevails because offenders are never caught, tried, and punished to serve as a deterrent. One of the essence of criminal trial is to serve as a deterrent.
Absolutely.
You know, to the rest of the society.
And some would say this similar situations have been going on for a long time, and judges remain,
and that is why I said until offenders are caught, tried, and punished, criminality will carry the aroma of a designer's perfume, as the case may be, if I have to put it that way.
Now, can the CJN, I mean, you say she's on track, she's living up to her promise, for zero tolerance for corruption, impunity, and all of that within the judiciary. Can she sustain it? Or, let me ask, how can she sustain this?
You see, if you look at the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and then all the laws enabling her in that behalf, the Chief Justice of Nigeria wields enormous power. She's the occupier of that office, is the chairman of NJI, is the chairman of the National Judicial Council, is the chairman of the Legal Practitioner Privileges Committee, ABCD, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So whosoever is the occupier of that exalted office stands in good stead if the person is determined, to stem the tide of corruption to achieve that result and sustain it for as long as the person occupies that seat. And the beauty of the position of the current CGN is that my Lord, the CGN, will occupy that office for the next 4 years. Yeah. So if my Lord sets an agenda for her tenure, she has enough time on her side to live up to the billing and achieve whatever she wants to achieve.
Yeah, but the flip side of that, too, there's enormous powers that the CJN wields. Some would say it's too much power in the hands of one person. As a matter of fact, some have been making a case that the CJN should not have the NJI or the NJC and, what have you.
If you ask me, that probably is a discussion for another time.
Right.
But if you look at the powers of NJC in particular, especially in discipline judicial officers, and the CJN is also a judicial officer. So what happened if the allegation is against the CJN?
Right.
What happened with the allegation? But I think that should be a discussion.
No, why not? Let's seize the opportunity.
If you ask me, that should be a discussion for another day. But if you also look at it, it's not new. Like when my Lord, the Honorable Justice Onogen, you know, found himself in such a very uncomfortable situation when he was being tried by the Code of Conduct Tribunal, ABC. If you look at the Code of Conduct for Judicial Officer, if a judge that has conflict of interest is encouraged to recluse himself or herself, or so announce it, declare such interest publicly, why won't a serving CJN, if peradventure is being investigated by the NJC, why would such a person step aside from the chairmanship of that position? Because naturally the number two, you know, acts in the absence of the CJN, as the case may be. So if you ask me, there's nothing wrong in the CJN serving as the chairman of those statutory bodies, as the case may be.
Right. Well, so you believe that the CJN is on track, and this suspension and, you know, recommendations for retirement will send the right signal to the judiciary that it's not business as usual under the CJN.
If you ask me, nothing new has happened, and neither has the wheel been reinvented. For as long as the AJC has been there, we've had cases of judges being retired, appointment terminated, dismissed. So if it has not served as deterrence, then I wonder what will serve as deterrence. But the truth of the matter is that the average Nigerian is criminogenic, whether we like it or not. We romanticize crime and the process of crime, and that is why people are not discouraged. What makes the difference is that as a judicial officer, you stand in judgment over authority and persons. And you must do justice to all manner of persons in accordance with your oath of office. Imagine somebody that wears the power of life and death, abusing it.
We'll have to leave it there, and that's a very good place to leave it. Agbo Madaki is Professor of Applied Law at Durban University of Technology, South Africa. Thank you very much for
thank you very much.
Brilliant insights.